The bank was unusually quiet that afternoon, the kind of stillness that makes everything seem too loud. The faint buzz of the overhead lights seemed almost too sharp against the backdrop of murmured voices, and the soft shuffle of shoes across the tile floor echoed louder than usual. But none of that seemed to matter to the boy standing at the counter, his small hands gripping the counter as if it were the only thing keeping him grounded in that moment. His wide eyes darted nervously to the bank teller, who was busy typing away on her computer, unaware of the storm brewing just beyond her desk. "Excuse me, ma'am." The boy's voice was shaky, but he was determined. "I need to speak to the manager." The teller didn't look up. Instead, she clicked her tongue and tapped the keys faster. "You can just wait there, sweetie. I'll get to you in a minute." The boy's shoulders sagged, but he didn't move. He couldn't. He was here for a reason. He had been waiting for weeks, practicing what he was going to say, rehearsing the words in front of his mirror at home. His mother had told him this was important, that he needed to stand up and be brave. But now, with the stern look on the teller's face and the dismissive way she treated him, he started to doubt himself. I just need to talk to the manager," he repeated, a little louder this time, trying to make sure his voice was heard. This time the teller finally looked up from her screen, but only to glance at him, her lips curling into a slight smirk. "And why would you need the manager, kid? You don't even look like you belong here." She leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms as she sized him up. The boy's heart raced. Her words cut deeper than he expected, but he stood firm. "Because my mom's the owner of this bank." The teller burst into laughter, loud and mocking. "Your mom owns this bank?" She shook her head, still laughing, a few of the customers in line starting to glance over. "You must be joking." The boy's face flushed, his heart pounding in his chest, but he didn't back down. He knew the truth. His mother was the owner of this bank. He had seen her sign papers with a confident smile, had heard her speak of her business in a tone that made it clear she was no stranger to success. He wanted to tell the teller everything, how his mom worked day and night to get where she was, how her hard work had paid off. But the words caught in his throat as the teller's laughter continued to echo in his ears. "Go on," she said, still chuckling. "Go tell your mom she needs to talk to me. I'm sure she'll find it hilarious too." The boy stood frozen for a moment, feeling the weight of her words press down on him. He could feel the eyes of everyone in the bank now on him, some amused, others just curious. The teller had made him the joke, and he felt small. But just as he was about to turn away, defeated, the door to the bank swung open with a sudden whoosh. It was her, his mother, the woman who had built everything from nothing, who had turned dreams into reality, who had taught him to stand tall, no matter the odds. Her presence seemed to fill the entire room. Her calm, confident stride toward the counter was like a quiet storm, and everyone in the room suddenly became aware that something big was about to happen. The teller's smirk faltered as the boy's mother stopped right beside him, her sharp eyes scanning the room. She was dressed in a crisp suit, her hair pulled back into a neat ponytail, her posture impeccable. It was clear she was not just a figure of authority. She commanded respect. She had that kind of presence, the kind that made people take a step back without her ever having to say a word. And then the teller's face dropped. "Can I help you?" the boy's mother asked, her voice calm but piercing. The teller opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Her earlier laughter seemed to have evaporated into the air, replaced by an uncomfortable silence. The boy's mother turned to him, her expression softening, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "You were saying something about needing the manager, sweetie?" The teller's eyes darted from the boy to his mother and back again, realization dawning too late. Her face flushed as she stammered, I didn't know." "Clearly," the boy's mother interrupted, her tone steady and unwavering. "But now you do." The room seemed to hold its breath as everyone waited for what would happen next. The teller stood frozen, her earlier arrogance now gone, replaced by a deep, embarrassed silence. It was as though time itself had come to a stop. Dimao. Boy's heart was still racing, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was from something else, a strange sense of triumph, as if the world had finally seen his truth. He looked up at his mother, who smiled down at him, the pride in her eyes unmistakable. But the moment wasn't over yet. There was more to be said, more to be done. The boy's mother was not just going to let this moment slip by. No, she had worked too hard, fought too many battles, and now was her time to speak. The teller, still red-faced, finally managed to speak. I didn't mean to. I know what you meant. The boy's mother cut in, her voice sharp as a knife. And it's time you understood something about this place and about my son. The boy stood beside his mother, feeling both smaller and stronger than he had moments before. His chest swelled with a mixture of pride and anxiety, his fingers twitching, slightly at his sides. The quiet hum of the bank felt louder now, almost suffocating. It was as though the whole room had become a stage, and everyone was watching, waiting for something to happen, something to break the tension. His mother glanced down at him, her hand briefly resting on his shoulder. A gentle, reassuring touch that spoke volumes without saying a word. She had always known how to calm him, even in the most difficult moments. As a child, he had always admired her strength, her ability to face down challenges that others would have run from. She was his rock, but today something felt different. The stakes were higher, the consequences felt larger, and he wasn't sure what would happen next. The teller, still standing behind the counter, was no longer laughing. In fact, she looked like she might collapse under the weight of her own embarrassment. Her eyes flickered nervously from the boy's mother to the boy and back again. It was clear she didn't know how to recover from the situation. Her earlier bravado had completely evaporated, replaced by an uncomfortable, almost desperate energy. The boy's mother didn't speak right away. She was looking at the teller, studying her with an intensity that seemed to make the air in the room grow thicker. After a moment, she finally spoke, her voice low but clear. "You think it's funny," she said, her tone like a quiet storm. "You think it's funny that a young boy came in here, trying to claim that his mother is the owner of this bank? You laugh and you belittle him, but you don't know who you're dealing with." The teller opened her mouth to protest, but the words didn't come out. Instead, she closed it quickly, her face going pale as she tried to gather her thoughts. She had no idea what was coming, no idea who she was standing in front of. "Let me make one thing clear," the boy's mother continued, her voice growing, firmer with each word. "My son doesn't lie. He doesn't have to lie to get attention or to make himself feel important. He speaks the truth. And if you had done your job properly, you would have known who he is before you even opened your mouth." The bank was still, the silence thick with the weight of her words. The boy felt a strange sense of pride bubbling up inside him. His mother was defending him, standing up for him in front of the entire room. But more than that, she was showing everyone the strength and power she had built for herself, the power that had made her the owner of this bank in the first place. The teller shifted uncomfortably behind the counter, her fingers tapping nervously on the desk. She seemed to be calculating her next move, trying to figure out how to escape the situation. The boy could tell she was struggling to come up with an excuse, some way to explain away her earlier behavior. But his mother wasn't going to let her off the hook so easily. "Do you know how hard she worked to get here?" the boy's mother asked, her voice quieter now but no less sharp. "Do you have any idea what it takes to build something from the ground up, to fight every step of the way just to be seen, to be heard? I've built this business with my own hands, with my own sweat and tears. And you, standing there laughing at my son, you think that means nothing?" The boy's heart was pounding in his chest. His mother wasn't just defending him, she was making a statement. She was showing the world that no one, not even a dismissive bank teller, could belittle the work she had done or the family she had built. The teller's eyes flickered nervously as the weight of his mother's words seemed to hit her all at once. She started, but her voice faltered, and she fell silent again, unsure of what to say. The boy's mother didn't give her the chance to finish. "Let me tell you something else," she said, her eyes narrowing. "I didn't come this far by being quiet, by letting people disrespect me or my family. And if you ever make my son feel small again, you'll wish you had never set foot in this bank." Her words hung in the air like an unspoken promise, a threat cloaked in the calmest of tones. The teller seemed to shrink under the weight of her gaze, her posture slumping as she finally seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. For a moment, there was a long, tense silence. The customers in line, who had been watching the scene unfold with varying degrees of curiosity and amusement, now seemed unsure of how to react. Some shifted awkwardly. Others exchanged glances, but none of them dared to speak. It was as if they too were waiting for something to break. The boy's mother took a step closer to the counter, her eyes never leaving the teller. "You're going to apologize to my son," she said, her voice cool and controlled. "And you're going to make it clear that you were wrong. That you were wrong to laugh at him, to dismiss him, to think he didn't matter." The teller swallowed hard, her face a mixture of humiliation and fear. Her lips parted as if to say something, but the words died on her tongue. She seemed to be struggling to regain her composure, to figure out how to fix what she had done. But it was too late for that. The damage had already been done, and now the consequences were unfolding before her. The boy could feel the tension building, and for a split second he wondered if his mother would go even further. He knew she could. He had seen her in action. Before, he had seen how she commanded respect in every room she entered, but something in his gut told him she was not finished yet. There was more to this moment, more to this lesson than just defending him. The silence seemed to stretch on forever. The teller finally took a deep breath, her shoulders slumping in defeat. "I'm sorry," she muttered, barely above a whisper. "I didn't know. I'm sorry." The words seemed hollow, like she was only saying them because she had no other choice. But the boy's mother didn't seem to care. She nodded, a small, satisfied smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. "You'll do better next time," she said, her voice still calm but with an edge that left no room for argument. "And don't forget who you're working for." As the teller nodded meekly, the boy felt his mother's hand gently guide him away from the counter. The moment was far from over, but something in the air had shifted. It was as though the world was watching, waiting to see how this story would unfold. But for now, the boy knew that his mother had made her point. The tension had not been broken completely, but it had been shifted, transformed into something deeper, something more personal, something that would change everything.